What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be reacting to another article today, as it is kind of in that middle of the off-season period, the middle of August. You know, things are getting a little bit quiet and whatnot, and I actually do have the article name and who wrote it this time. Normally I just kind of skip past things and I don't really give credit where it's due, so I'm going to be changing that today. So this is from the Sporting News, and the person that wrote this article is Alex oh, I'm so sorry. Kirshenboom. Hopefully I said your name correctly. I apologize if I did not. But what I want to do is kind of discuss, I guess, the Bulls general management team, because this is what the article's about. General management team being ranked last in the NBA. What an interesting place to put them. Dead last. You know, not in the middle of the pack. Obviously, they're not elite, but dead last. That's very interesting to me. So with that being said, I want to discuss whether or not I agree with the statement like that, and ultimately, how can the Bulls build themselves out of being dead last in terms of the NBA GMs around the league. But before we get any further, if you liked the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new. And let me know what you guys think about the Chicago Bulls and the general management team. Do you think they deserve to be dead last in the league? I know there were a couple of GMs that weren't put in this ranking because of how new they are, but the Bulls have been around for a long time. The Bulls this front office, this general management team has been around for a long time. So, you know, they're definitely deserving of a ranking, and apparently it is dead last. It is really at the bottom of the barrel, and that is annoying, to say the least. I don't necessarily think I can defend this. Let me rephrase this. I don't think I could defend the front office from something like this, but I don't know if it's just the way that I'm feeling today, but I'm very much in the prove people wrong sort of mentality today. So firstly, let's get started on something very important in relation to this general management team, and that it has not been great. Now, look, they went for a big risk, trading Nikola Vucevic, bringing in DeMar DeRozan, extending Zach LaVine on the max contract, bringing in Lonzo Ball. Look, for 6 months, we thought this was the best general management team we have ever seen. You know, we thought nothing could stop us. And then a beautiful thing, or not even beautiful, an ugly thing called injuries took place. And with injuries, everything came spiraling down. I think what makes this so frustrating is the fact that this could have been avoided, and this, I guess, slander of our general management team could have been avoided if we had just made moves earlier. Because I think the reason why we are dead last, I don't think it was specifically mentioned in this article, this reason, but I think we held on to assets for too long. And when you hold on for assets for too long, you don't get the peak value for them, you don't get what you want in return, and that's why we have currently been stuck in no man's land, in the middle of the pack in terms of the NBA, the playing tournament and whatnot. I felt like we could have definitely got a lot more for certain people. I'll give you an example here. We'll start off with Nikola Vucevic because he's still on the team. I think that just makes sense. We're not going to get much for Nikola Vucevic in a trade at the moment. But if we had decided to trade him last season when we traded Zach LaVine, you might have got a little bit more out of him. And I think that is definitely something that we need to discuss. And eventually, whether he gets traded or even if he gets bought out, this is a genuine conversation we are going to have as a Bulls organization and Bulls fans across the world when this does eventually happen, when one of those two things happens, or whether he walks, I guess, away after this contract and goes to a different team. We can have that discussion. DeMar DeRozan was at pretty much peak value a few seasons ago, and we decided to keep him around for a little bit too long. And in the end, he went to the Sacramento Kings. We didn't really get much in return there. And that was a very disappointing sight to see. With Zach LaVine, we did end up sending him to the Sacramento Kings as well. And I guess with him, we got certain players that we really do like. I think we got Kevin Huerter in there. We got Trey Jones from the Spurs. We got, you know, Zach Collins as well as a 3-team trade. We got our own pick back and all those sort of things, right? We definitely didn't get, maybe we did get fleeced, but at least we could walk away saying, okay, we like the players that we got in return for that deal. But still, you would make the case, especially considering our first round pick was our own, we should have got more. And I think that's what our issue was. We kept players for too long. We went with an experiment, and continuity is the big word that everybody's scared of. We went with continuity, and we went with keeping talent around longer than they should have been around. And that cost us big time. It cost us value. It cost us a potential change in our future and our pathways. And we're kind of paying the price of that now, ladies and gentlemen. So that is why I can't really defend the general management team of this team. I can't defend AK, and I can't defend Mark Eversley for the actions they have done over the course of the years that they've been here. They tried something and they failed, but they kept the failure in the team for too long before trying something new. So can this be a situation where it's rectified? Can we see better? Can we see this front office truly elevate this team into a new direction? I really believe we can see that, but that's where the prove me wrong mentality has to be. You can't base a ranking of a general management team on the future of the organization. You have to rank them on what they've done today, in the present, and in the past. The future is yet to be written. This could turn out to be the best front office in the world in 5 years' time. We don't really know. We can make assumptions, sure, but we don't really know the outcome of what's going to happen in 5 years' time, or 3 years' time, even 2 years' time. That's the thing. So I can't say, yeah, we could rectify the situation, and that's why the Bulls shouldn't be the dead last ranking in the general management out of all the GMs and all the front offices. You know, we can't say that. So it's up to AK, and it's up to Eversley, and it's up to Billy Donovan, because I'm pretty sure he has a big say in these front office decisions as well. It's up to the ownership group, which everybody wants them to sell. It's up to these guys that we do not trust at the moment to prove us wrong, to prove everybody wrong. At least with AK and Eversley, they'll have another chance. You know, a lot of people are not going to give the the ownership another chance, for example, or even Billy Donovan at this point another chance. They've kind of had their mind set in stone. With AK and Eversley, I really believe they could get another chance from the fan base, even though, you know, the Fire Me movement is pretty big at the moment. It's not as big as the Garpax era, for example. So there's still a chance for them to rectify things, and there's still a chance for them to get this team where it needs to be. So that's the prove me wrong mentality that we have, ladies and gentlemen. Do I agree that we are the worst front office in the league? I mean, there's 30 teams in the NBA, and some of them have been in NBA misery a lot longer than us. You know, I think of teams like the Sacramento Kings, for example. Yes, who did make the playoffs recently, but has never really won a championship. You know, I think of teams like the Portland Trailblazers, who haven't won a championship. I think of so many teams, even for a while there, Detroit and the Orlando Magic were really, really bad for a long time. So I can't say we're probably the worst. I know there's some of them that have yet to be assessed, but we're up there as one of the worst. And we've been like that for a while. And if you look and you ask Bulls fans, what is the issue with this organization? Some might mention players. You know, at the end of the day, the players are playing on the court, and they are the reason why we win or lose. Some people will blame Billy Donovan and his coaching style not being good enough for the top level of basketball. You could mention, you know, maybe the fans. Some people do mention the fans and say, why are the fans still attending games when we suck this badly, and we should have a step towards, you know, maybe... what's the word? The word's at the top of my head, but I can't bring it out. It's, you know, strikes, stuff like that. Going on strike or whatever it is, you know. So whatever the word is for that, I know there's definitely a word for it, and I've used it all the time, but I can't think of it. But, you know, leaving games, you know, and not giving this organization money or whatever the case may be, you know, affecting the pockets of the owners. So some people blame the fans, but I think if you ask most people, they will blame the front office. They will blame AK, and they will blame Eversley, and they will blame this organization's front office and the lack of moves that they have made. And sometimes the lack of making moves isn't a bad thing, like where we are now, because we've kind of gotten rid of, I guess, those players kind of holding us back in many ways, or not even that. It's just players that are making so much money and are not really making the difference to winning or losing for this specific organization. We've gotten rid of a lot of those guys. So not making moves now, to me, is not the worst thing in the world. But at that time, when we needed to make moves, we decided to hold our chips, wait, and that backfired. So yeah, I could see us being one of the worst. I really can. So prove us wrong, AK. Prove us wrong. That's all there is to it. Prove us wrong. And trust me, if we're going to get into the playoff picture in the next few years and we're going to be a serious contender in the East, I don't think many people are going to complain anymore. Winning does really fix everything sometimes. So let's get to winning. Or let's get to a place where we feel like winning is going to be an obvious thing for us, because that's not where we are right now. Let's hope we can win more games. Let's hope we can push into the playoffs. Let's hope we do have a foundation that is really seen as competitive in this NBA season. If we could do that, not many people are going to complain. But as long as we don't do that, a lot of people are going to complain. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care, and peace.